Long before the sound of motorcycles filled the dusty roads of the north, when the evenings were ruled by the songs of crickets and the gentle rustling of neem trees, there stood a peaceful Hausa village called Kauye. Kauye was surrounded by golden fields that stretched as far as the eyes could see. At sunrise, farmers walked toward their farms with hoes resting on their shoulders. Women carried baskets to the market, children chased one another through the narrow paths, and the distant sound of the village mosque filled the morning air. But among all the people who lived in Kauye, there was one man whose name was spoken with unusual respect. His name was Sani. Sani was a wealthy, middle-aged farmer. His farmland was so enormous that a person could walk for hours and still not reach its end. He had hundreds of workers. He owned cattle. He had granaries filled with grains. His harvests were always abundant. But what made Sani truly wealthy was not what he possessed. It was what he gave. Whenever the price of food increased in the village, Sani would reduce the price of his own produce. When a poor farmer could not afford seeds, Sani gave him some. When a widow needed food, she did not leave Sani's compound empty-handed. And when a worker fell sick, Sani paid for his treatment. The villagers loved and respected him so much, they never stopped praying and singing his praises to one another. In all of these, there was one thing Sani did not have: a wife. And that was the one thing money could never buy him. Even as a man, Sani had received countless marriage proposals. Beautiful women came from neighboring villages. Mothers brought their daughters to his compound. Some praised their daughter's beauty. Others praised their cooking. Some even went as far as telling Sani how perfect their daughters would be as wives. But Sani always smiled politely. He never wanted a woman who loved his wealth. He wanted someone who would love Sani. Not his farmland, not his cattle, not his money, just him. One afternoon, something happened that would change his life forever. A trader known throughout Kauye as Binta arrived at Sani's farm. She sold foodstuffs in the village market and regularly bought produce from his workers. But this time, she had brought someone with her, her only daughter. Her name was Binta. Binta was about 25 years old. She was beautiful, quiet, modest, and innocent-looking. As Binta negotiated with one of Sani's workers, Sani happened to be inspecting the farm. He rarely came personally to the farm during the busy hours, but that day he had decided to check on the workers. Then he saw her. Sani stopped. For a moment, the noise of the farm seemed to disappear. He looked at her quietly, not because she was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen, but because there was something calm about her, something different. Sani slowly walked toward them. "Assalamu alaikum," Sani greeted. "Wa alaikum salam," Binta responded. Before Sani could ask another question, Binta jumped into the conversation. "Ah, this is my daughter Binta," she said with a smile. Binta looked at her, wonder why she did that. Binta paid no attention to her as she continued. "My daughter is 25 years old. She cooks very well. She is respectful. She knows how to take care of a home. She has never given me trouble." Binta's face tightened with embarrassment. "And she is not married yet. She is not yet married," Binta added. Sani smiled. He understood exactly what Binta was doing, but he remained calm. Then he turned to Binta and said, "That is a beautiful name." Binta lowered her eyes, smiled forcefully, and said, "Thank you." Sani then turned toward his worker, who was selling produce to them and instructed him to sell for them at a discounted price. And not just that, he also asked him to give them additional fruits and foodstuffs as gifts. Binta's face immediately brightened. "May Allah bless you, Sani," she said with so much excitement. Sani smiled back and bided them farewell as he continued with his inspection. Binta nearly jumped with excitement, but Binta did not smile. She was uncomfortable. As soon as her mother finished collecting everything, Binta began walking ahead. She did not even wait for her mother. That evening, Binta could hardly contain her excitement. She placed the gifts around the house. Then she said to Binta, "Do you know what just happened today?" Binta remained silent. Binta continued, "Sani was looking at you." Binta sighed. "Uma, please," she added. "Please what?" Binta asked. "You were embarrassing me," Binta answered. Her mother stared at her. "Embarrassing you?" Binta laughed. "Do you know how many girls in this village would give anything to have that man look at them?" she added. "I don't care." Her mother's smile immediately disappeared. "You don't care?" Binta asked. "Yes, I don't care," Binta answered. "I don't want a man simply because he has money." Binta stared at her daughter with so much disappointment. "You are still young. You don't understand life." But Binta said nothing. She walked away. What neither of them knew was that Sani had already begun making inquiries about them. He wanted to know who Binta was, not because of her beauty, but because there was something about her quietness that had captured his attention. A few days later, Sani learned where they lived, and one afternoon, he arrived at their home carrying gifts. Binta was overwhelmed. She welcomed him as though a king had entered her house. She prepared a magnificent Hausa meal, tuwo shinkafa with miyan kuka and roasted meat. They ate, they talked, they laughed. And after some time, Sani finally spoke. Binta, I have come because I want to ask for Binta's hand in marriage," Sani said. Binta froze. She could not believe her ears. Then suddenly she shouted, "Ya Allah, Shin Adua Tatabata," which means, "Oh my God, have my prayers been answered?" Then without thinking twice, she shouted, "Yes!" Sani also smiled out of excitement too. At the end of the conversion, Sani gave her the gifts he came with, thanked her and left. Binta was so excited that she was dancing and already planning what she will wear for the wedding ceremony. Binta returned that evening and got the shock of her life. Without her approval, she discovered that her mother had already accepted a marriage proposal on her behalf. That night, the walls of their little house shook with their argument. "Umma, you don't even know this man," Binta said angrily. "I know enough," Binta responded aggressively too. "You only want his money," Binta added. Her mother became furious. "Money? And what is wrong with marrying a good man who can provide for you?" Binta asked. The argument went on and on till the night fell on them that day. Day after day, begged Binta. She threatened, she pleaded. On many occasions, she reminded Binta of their struggles and how marrying Sani will give them a better life forever. Eventually, exhausted by her mother's constant pressure, Binta agreed. Not because she loved Sani, but because she wanted her mother to be happy. And that decision would change all their lives. The wedding was unlike anything Kauye had ever seen. Drums echoed through the village. Women sang. Children danced through the streets. Food was prepared in enormous quantities. People came from neighboring villages. The wealthy and the poor ate together. Some people even carried food home. Everyone celebrated. Everyone except the bride. Binta sat quietly. She had become Sani's wife, but her heart was somewhere else. Sani, however, was overjoyed. He treated Binta like the most precious person in his world. He gave her beautiful clothes, jewelry, servants, comfort, anything she wanted. He never insulted her, never raised his voice at her, never reminded her that sex chosen him. He simply loved her. But Binta could not return that love. Her mother visited constantly, and every time she came, Sani welcomed her. He gave her money, food, clothes, gifts. But something changed inside Binta. At first, she was grateful. Then she became comfortable. Then comfortable became greedy. And eventually, greed became something darker. One evening, she looked at Binta and said, "How long will you continue taking crumbs from the table?" Binta frowned. "What are you talking about?" Binta asked. Her mother leaned closer. "Your hobby is owning everything in this village," she said. Binta became uncomfortable. "One day, all of this can belong to you," Binta added. Binta immediately understood what her mother was suggesting. She said angrily, "No, Umma." Her mother stared at her. "Don't ever subject that again," she said, standing up. But Binta did not listen. She had planted the seed, and she continued watering it. Not long afterward, Sani fell sick. Binta saw an opportunity. She secretly replaced his medication with another substance that would make his condition worse. But one of Sani's most loyal workers saw her. He immediately reported what he had witnessed. At first, Sani refused to believe it. He loved his wife and he respected her mother. But instead of confronting Binta, Sani did something unexpected. He became silent. He stopped taking the strange medication and he began watching. He listened. He observed. Sometimes he hid nearby while Binta and her mother spoke, and slowly the truth began to reveal itself. Yet Sani did not retaliate. He did not throw Binta out. He did not expose her mother. He continued providing for them. He continued treating Binta with kindness. But while all of this was happening, another betrayal was taking place. Binta had fallen in love with another man named Nureman. She began secretly meeting him. She lied to Sani repeatedly. She stole money from the household and gave it to Nureman, her lover. Sani knew, but he remained silent. He continued loving her. Until one day, Binta discovered the truth. The man she believed loved her had never truly loved her. He had only been using her. He knew she was married to a wealthy man. He wanted Sani's money. And while Nureman was taking Binta's money, he was secretly planning to run away with another woman named Aisha. When Binta discovered everything, her world collapsed. For the first time, she sat alone and asked herself, "What have I done?" She remembered Sani, the man who had never insulted her, the man who had never stopped caring for her, the man she had lied to again and again. And for the first time, Binta began to see the ugliness of her own actions. One afternoon, Binta was caught attempting to poison Sani's meal. This time, there was no escaping the truth. She was brought before Sani. She fell to the ground. She cried. She begged, "Sani, please forgive me. Don alaka yafe min. Aikin Shaidanne. Sani looked at her for a long moment. Then he spoke quietly. I knew. She froze. What? I knew about the medicine. He continued. I knew about the plans. Her eyes widened. I knew what you and Binta were saying. Binta began crying harder. She crawled toward him, but Sani walked forward and lifted her from the ground. I forgive you. She stared at him in disbelief. But forgiveness does not mean I will allow you to continue having access to this house. He told her she could no longer visit freely. He sent her away. But even then, he gave her gifts. Binta walked away with her head lowered. The shame became too heavy for her, and days later, devastating news reached Sani and Binta. Binta had died by suicide. Binta was shattered. She cried for days. But through it all, Sani remained beside her. He comforted her. He fed her. He stayed with her. He never once reminded her of everything she had done. And that was when Binta finally broke. One morning, Binta approached Sani. Her eyes were swollen from crying. Sani, he looked at her. I want to leave. Sani remained quiet. Why? Binta began crying. Because I cannot continue living with this guilt. She confessed everything. The lies, the stealing, the affair, everything. When she finished, she could barely look at him. Then Sani smiled sadly. I already knew. Binta froze. You knew? He nodded. Sani was so shocked and covered with shame that she ran away from him and went to the room and began packing her things. She was too ashamed to ask for forgiveness. The next morning, she prepared to leave. Sani sat beneath a large mango tree outside their home. He looked deeply sorrowful. Binta walked toward him. She knelt before him and began to cry. Please forgive me. Don ala mijina kaya femin, Binta said. Sani looked at her, then who slowly bent down. He lifted her from the ground. He wiped her tears and said softly, Kaunata, which names my love. I forgave you before you asked, Sani said softly. Then Sani took her hand. I have something for you. He revealed that he had purchased a large piece of land for her, a place where she could establish the trading market she had always dreamed of. Binta stared at him in disbelief. Tears filled your eyes. Sani, her voice trembled. Why? She looked directly into his eyes. Why do you love me this much? She began crying. After everything my mother and I did to you, after all the lies, after everything, why? She asked, crying. Sani pulled her close. His own tears began falling, and then he spoke. Zuchiata. He held her gently. Even when you never chose me, he paused. I chose you. Binta cried harder. Even when you never loved me, his voice trembled. I loved you. You didn't have to love me for me to love you. My love was enough for the both of us. Even when you hurt me, I still loved you. And even right now, I still love you. And I will never stop loving you. Binta could barely speak. Through her tears, she whispered, Wate irin kaunache wanan? Meaning, what manner of love is this? Sani pulled her into his arms, and for the first time since their marriage, Binta truly embraced him. Not because of his money, not because of her mother's pressure, not because of what he could provide, but because she had finally understood the heart of the man who had loved her all along. She promised to love him, to respect him, and to spend the rest of her life making right what she had once done wrong. And from that day forward, their lives changed. Perhaps you have been wondering, why would a man love someone who hurt him so deeply? Why would he continue showing kindness to someone who betrayed him? Why would he forgive someone who did not deserve forgiveness? The answer is simple. Because this story is not only about Sani and Binta, it is about us and the love of God. Like Binta, we have all turned away at some point. We have chosen other things. We have lied. We have disobeyed. We have hurt the heart of the one who loves us. Yet God does not stop calling us home. His love does not depend on our perfection. He loved us before we chose him. He continues loving us when we fall. And when we finally turn back to him with a repentant heart, he is ready to forgive. The greatest question is not, how many times have you failed God? The question is, will you return to him? Because sometimes we think we have gone too far. We think our sins are too great. We think God could never forgive us. But the message of this story is this: you may have stopped choosing him, but he has never stopped choosing you. You may have forgotten him, but he has never forgotten you. And just as Sani said to Binta, even when you never chose me, I chose you. That is the beauty of God's love. A love that waits, a love that forgives, a love that calls us home, and a love that never gives up. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Romans 5:8. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more beautiful stories with powerful lessons. And remember, God's love very goods upon us. Until we meet again, stay blessed.